places. And now the Portland Police Union and the Portland Police Captain have threatened to pull out of the independent police review process. They boycotted the meeting yesterday at the CRC thing. And actually yesterday I went to talk to an independent police review investigator, and he slammed the door on my hand. And this is someone who is there to investigate the police. Eric Berry, who is actually a Portland police shill, and the whole IPR and all these various groups are all shills and poverty pimps, and I'm sick of all the pandering and bullshit, and we need to take action. We need to fucking do it by force, because these people are not going to wipe our asses. They're not going to fix our problems, and we need to do it on our own. Let's take real community control and show the city leaders how to run a fucking city right. And that is to the end of my testimony.
Oregon earned that F on the corruption risk scorecard, an F on the corruption risk scorecard for Oregon.
We have other people who would like to testify.
Elizabeth Raudenberg, Alana Goodwin, Norma Jean Sisson, and Hetty Bartleston. Please come forward.
Norma isn't here. We need to bring another one up.
Did everybody hear the names that were being called?
Yes.
Okay.
Norma's not here.
Oh, thank you. There's Linda. Norma is not here. There's Stephen Colvin.
Okay. Rebecca Esmelia.
Go ahead, begin.
My name is Elizabeth Rodenberg. I was born here in Portland, as was my father. I am incredibly ill and have to work part-time because my disability check isn't enough to cover my rent, my groceries, my electric bill. In 1975, I had to leave home and support myself before I graduated high school. I was able to work part-time, go to high school, and rent a 950 square foot apartment. I had enough money to have a car, to do some entertainment now and then, go to the movies, go to a concert. Now I can't afford groceries. I may be put on a liver transplant list soon, and I won't be able to work anymore. I don't have enough money to eat. I go to food banks to eat. I go to the soup kitchens to eat. And I'm working in a child care center, taking care of people's children. There are teachers at that child care center with master's degrees. They cannot afford to send their own children there. They cannot afford to rent here. They live outside of the community. I love this city. I've always loved this city, and I want to stay here. I'm going to have to move, and I have no money to move. If I get even 10% increase in my rent, I will be homeless, and I will die sooner. Thank you.
Begging to have a place to live. That's a shame. You call yourself a leader.
Good morning.
Hi there, my name is Ilana Goodwin, and I find it an honor to be here. I thank Marble Black and PTU for inviting me here. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my story. I lived in North Portland for the last 10 years, a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Had excellent landlords and returned to school in pursuit of a degree. I paid my rent faithfully, was responsible in bettering my life. Eventually, Home Forward came and said, you no longer qualify for this home. You have to find a smaller unit. I said, that's fine. I put in my notice, and with my voucher in hand, started searching. After it became painfully clear that I could no longer afford to live in North Portland, where I had raised my children, where I had been a part of the community, I looked elsewhere. I expanded my search. I had no clue what was waiting for me, the journey I was embarking upon. Little did I know that the next 8 months would be the most heart-wrenching and disappointing and excruciating time of my life. Not just for me, but for these people here. How dare someone say that we deserve not the basic right of housing? Yeah. I was born for this, to live, to prosper. I was born for this, we were born for this, and take care of one another. When you say, I will not look on the least of these, you tell me I don't deserve to be here. But my life demands it. Demands it. I liken this crisis to a pipe that burst on a high hill and was drowning the people below. We are those people. Yes. The people atop the hill had wrenches in hand and piping and engineers and knew how to fix the pipe. Oh, but they talked about the pipe. They looked at the pipe. They pointed at the pipe. They looked at the people who were drowning from the water. Oh, and as they stood there with the answer, they did nothing. Having solutions in their hands, they would not act. Some threw life jackets and breathing apparatus, but no one fixed the pipe. We are demanding today that you no longer talk from atop the hill, that you act. Stop watching us drown. Yeah. And enact a rent freeze and obliterate no-cause evictions. It is an honorable thing, but humane thing. So don't just talk about it in your secret chambers. Be about it. Yes.
My name is Hetty Bartleson. I'm a landlord here in Portland and I support tenants' rights. Yeah. As you know, the City of Portland declared a state of emergency regarding housing exactly 6 months ago today. In that time, things have not worked in a sustainable way to support tenants. Nope. It's just not enough to deal with the dichotomy of growth and displacement, which is still spiraling out of control. Some have called this a man-made disaster, and I agree with them. In my own life, I've watched families displaced, families I know, friends. It's hard to expand hastily because the market will suddenly bear something our existing citizens can't support. Our sense of community is precarious at this time, and that's upsetting to many, and rightly so. It's painful to lose your community. And when you think about it, community should be about stability. It should support children being able to stay in their schools with their friends. It should represent a sense of belonging and commitment rather than survival mode. Yes. Across town and around town, I've noticed more and more homeless encampments starting up. It's time to really think about the people being displaced. If you happen upon any of these encampments, you'll see little kids running around. Right. These people may be elderly, chronically ill, living on a fixed income that can't support higher rents. A 90-day no-cause eviction may seem reasonable, but in some cases that's still long enough time. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Having to suddenly save enough for first and last deposit, not easy at all in this case. There's very often something that can be controlled though. The recent number of new Airbnb listings was around 1,300. And I know people think this is great. I know the market is booming, and if you can't rent residentially, you can just list on Airbnb and make a killing. But please, think about who gets displaced by this. We're not a hotel city. We have citizens who need stability and to know that they won't be out on their ear tomorrow because suddenly the market will bear whatever we want. That's right. Yeah, that's right. The landlord-tenant relationship agreement should be a partnership. Yes. Right. Tenants should be listened to and concerns should be addressed. It's very hard on people and their health when all the power lies in the hands of the landlord and they have no choice but to move out because of sudden renovations, pay hundreds of dollars more per month or leave. Yes. And where do these people go? I've heard people argue that this is how cities grow, but I've lived in other cities. This is not a slow creep these artists who put us on the map as leaving or scattered. Again, I have to speak to community here. Artists thrive on community. Without artists, we're all survival. Without communities and belonging, we're lost. It's time to call this what it is. It is a man-made disaster, and we can enact rent control. This is still working in other cities that can work here too. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Escamilla, and I'm a renter in Southeast Portland and an unemployed mother of 3. After being laid off from my job as an editor last year, my middle-class family cinched our budgets fell in order to stay in our home and maintain a stable housing environment for our children. We stopped spending money at all the new shops in our neighborhood of Woodstock that's making it new and up and coming. We can't afford to shop in our own neighborhood anymore because of my job loss. But we stayed in our current home for 4 years, and actually just found out I lived right next door to Marsha, who is, all my neighbors got no cause of evictions except Marsha, one other person. We maintain our home well, we grow food in our backyard, we pay our rent on time, and we pass every invasive property inspection with flying colors. Last month, I received a letter from my landlord. It began, "Dear Rebecca, thank you for being a long-term tenant. Your rent will increase by $160 per month, effective the time of your lease renewal." For those of you keeping score, that's about $2,000 more per year for my family. They thanked me and immediately hit me with an increase that my family cannot afford. I attempted to negotiate the increase with them and explained my employment situation and how we had already been working to maintain our housing there, but was told they're free to adjust the rent and to market rates as they allow, and that I am totally free to move out if I want. I was financially responsible and had a 6-month cushion of savings before I was laid off. Now that cushion is gone, and I still have not found a job. How can I afford a deposit and first and last month's rent in a new home for my family, especially with these skyrocketing rents and market rates pushing everyone further and further east and out? How can we afford for my husband to take time off work to help move? How am I going to pay for childcare so that I can find a home and move into it? How can I make sure my kids can all stay in the same school? My family is facing all these unknown fears today. The stress alone is overwhelming. Landlords and management companies citywide hold all the power. To them, we are funding their properties, but to tenants, they are supplying our homes where we are raising our children. This man-made housing disaster demands immediate action, and that is why I support a rent freeze and a moratorium on no-cause evictions today.
Courtney Shannon, Seamus Cook, Margot Black, and Barry Stalls. Please come forward.
There's Amanda Fritz at the county hearing.
I'm going last. I know Courtney. It's going to take a little while to come up.
Morning. I had given one of these flyers to your clerks for each of you. My name is Courtney Burger, Shannon. I'm sorry, Courtney Shannon Robertstadt. It's spelled Courtney, SHANNON. I'm listed on Facebook and on GoFundMe, and I look forward to seeing some of your names on there. That would be amazing. I'm here to represent a couple of different communities. I was homeless in this state on and off for about 15 years. I've been a wife, I've been a mother, I've raised children, I've owned a home. And right now I'm facing a no-cause eviction. So many meetings I've attended like this, you folks wonder, well, how does this stuff happen? How do people lose their homes? How do they end up out on the streets? Let me tell you. When I was out on the street, I was raped 3 times. The last time was 3.5 years ago. I I found myself in a hospital 6 months later at Outrage SU for a month and a half. I was dying. I was bleeding out internally. And let me tell you, it was God and Brand Stickley from NCNM and Join that saved me, and the drug cartels. It took me a long, long time to get to that point. And you know why, Commissioner Conforti? Because I don't have a mental condition. Because at the time I didn't have physical disabilities. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug addict. I'm one of the rare few who don't. And there are so many of us out here in so many different capacities. And being given this opportunity to be in a rental program that's related to my health and Home Forward was a godsend. I was literally in a wheelchair. I couldn't go through a bag of clothes and get myself a shirt. But I'm also an American dreamer. I thought, wow, you know, after all this time, all this advocacy I've done in the community, all the people I know, all the community meetings I go to, and everything else, the bills that I've helped write to help out the houseless community. I finally have a place where I can close the door and take a shower and have privacy and run around my living room naked if I want to. You have no idea how it is to be naked. All right? When you have to be dressed 24/7 because a cop is going to come banging on your tent, if you can have a tent, and curse like a sailor and demand that you come out. You have no idea how that is. You really don't. I'd like to invite you out for a weekend with me so you can experience that. But I have a no-cause eviction. I'm in court on Tuesday morning, April 12th at 9 a.m. The address is 1021 Southwest 4th Avenue. I invite you to come out and support me and support everyone else going through this. Because my life is literally on the line here. Literally. I've got cancer. I got hit by a car in December. As you see, I wear leg braces. I'm barely walking. But I've got to move. And I'm being brought to court on something that I can't fight. Because the law is only for people downtown. It's not for people for the whole county. Why not? Why are people being segregated? They say displaced. No, it's not displaced. You're one paycheck away from being where I'm at. And so many other folks are. And it's horrible. This isn't a homeless emergency. It's been an epidemic. It's been a crisis, folks. Yes. Why aren't you on it doing something? Yes. Why aren't you upset about it? Why aren't you wiping tears out of your eyes? I don't understand why I don't understand. I really don't. What would you do if you had to be out on the street next week, ma'am? What would you do? Because I'm you, and I'm you, and I'm you, and I'm you. I am. What would you do? I've got no income. I can't dial 1-800-RICH-UNCLE. It ain't there for me. It's not. What do I do? What can you do to end this today? There needs to be a red freeze. This madness needs to stop. It's nationwide, it's everywhere, and what kills me is if we saw a dog get hit outside, 50 people would be running there, oh my gosh, did somebody call somebody, get some help? But we pass by people like that's on the street. What kind of Americans are we? What kind of people are we? It's unconscionable. How can you live with yourselves and let it exist? Thank you for your time.
My name is Shane Scott. I'm a social worker at the Child Abuse Hotline. And at the hotline, we are breaking records for the number of calls. The number of calls are connected to housing. We get calls about homeless families in the streets, with babies often, calls from terrified families facing eviction who are begging us for help, and we have nothing for them. Nobody does. A long wait list. That's it. So this housing crisis is a big issue in the county by far. It is a disaster, a public health crisis. This is no exaggeration. At Reynolds School District, 30% of the kids do not have stable housing. They are effectively homeless. 30%. 30%. And many more families live in fear of a rent increase they can't afford, or a no-cause eviction they can't afford. So we'd like to know, what is your job here? Is your job to oversee the crisis unfold as it gets worse and worse and worse and worse? Or is your job to tackle the crisis head on and champion real solutions like rent control? This is a disaster. We need leaders to act with urgency the crisis demands. We think your job is to use the best tools at your disposal to fix the problem now. We can't wait 20 years for market-based solutions that everybody knows won't work. It hasn't worked. That's why we're here. So when the rental market is broke, as it is obviously, and is causing harm on a mass scale, it's the duty of government to act. It's your duty. So we believe your job is to declare a housing disaster combined with a rent freeze and moratorium on evictions now. So this is our demand, and hundreds of us came here for your response, and please don't make us come back.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Margot Black. Why are we here? Chair Kafori, your state of the county, you said that the greatest challenge we face in your view is how to address the housing crisis in Multnomah County. That over the last year, rents countrywide have jumped by double digits, and the number of vacant apartments is hovering at 3%. This is 10 days after we got the news that Portland's rents were rising faster than anywhere in the country, 14% in just 1 month. You went on to say that we must find ways to include affordable units in the multi-million-dollar developments that are rapidly changing our neighborhoods, that we need to work with private developers to increase the supply of affordable housing for renters and buyers, and we also must keep rent affordable. Otherwise, the sky-high rent increases and no-cause evictions will push more people to need help. And I'm here to agree that we do need to keep rent affordable, and that we need to stop scratching our heads and wondering how to do that, and stop waiting for the supply to come online in order to ease the rents, and accept that that will never happen, that private developers will never build their way into a supply glut. We understand that rent control is preempted at the state, but we call your attention to Oregon Revised Statute 91.225, Section 5, that says that in a man-made disaster that results in a significant material elimination of the rental housing supply, that local jurisdictions can enact rent control. Yes. I don't think I need to enumerate that this is a disaster. Commissioner Bailey is on Home for Everyone. He is aware of our homelessness problem, as is your office, since you're moving the Office of Homelessness into the county. We have 79 children in the David Douglas School District become homeless in 1 month. Most due to no-cause evictions. We have 1,300 homeless students in Portland Public School District as of last year, which corresponds nicely to the 1,300 full-time entire homes for rent on Airbnb that are being completely unenforced by the city of Portland. So clearly we're in a disaster. Clearly it is man-made. As to whether or not rental housing stock has been materially eliminated, I ask you to look at someone in the eyes whose rent has gone up by $300, $400, $500. Someone who does not have $2,000 for a security deposit, who perhaps can't get into new housing because they have a misdemeanor on their record, 15 years old, and they're a person of color. And that landlord, if they have to choose between the single mom who's a person of color and the cute white couple who got their new job at Google, they will pick the white couple every single time. I want you to look them in the eyes and tell them that their housing has not been materially eliminated when they have been no-cause evicted or evicted for non-payment of rent. Non-payment of rent because when you are when your rent is up by $300 or $400 and your wages haven't gone up proportionally, you can't pay the rent. Yes. I have a young, single, recently divorced mother in Gresham, mother of 2, whose younger daughter is profoundly disabled, $50 short on rent, and was evicted, and then was charged with a lease break fee after she moved out on time, according to the agreement that she made with lawyers. Which is why we need Multnomah County to do this, and not the city of Portland. We need to protect folks like Courtney, who are in unincorporated Multnomah County and who will never be covered by city protections. We need to protect the folks in Gresham and Troutdale. We need you to recognize that the Airbnb, the rampant demolitions of affordable housing, the eviction crisis, the rents that are pricing people out of their homes is a significant material elimination of housing for folks who have to leave everything behind. I have kids, my children go to Reiki Elementary School. I live in Hillsdale, a very white, wealthy neighborhood. There are kids in my son's classroom who told me stories about having to leave their house with all the things in it because they had nowhere to go. Yes. Tell them that their housing has not been materially eliminated, or stop making excuses. Use your statutory power and declare a rent freeze today. Recognize that this is Public Health Week and that this is a public health disaster. You have the power as the county to convene as the public health authority and declare and recognize this as an imminent public health disaster.
Right now.
Think about the legacy that you want to leave behind. If you don't want to do it for me and the folks in this room who can't pay the rent, if you don't want to do it for the business owners who can't raise wages fast enough, if you don't want to do it for the communities and the churches who are losing the people who have built this community, then do it for your own legacy. When you're out of office and folks look back and talk about what you did for this community, do you want it to be another committee, another study, another time to scratch your head and wonder what can we do, or do you want to do real change right now that will change lives today?
Right now.
Right now. Everyone person after today is on your back. Yes.
That's right. Right now.
Just so that the commissioner.
It's Barry Joe's turn.
Just so the commissioners are aware, I know personally 3 people who have died in the last month. 3. On the streets. And I'm going to be the next one if this happens. Right now. Ask this now.
Please, we have other people who would like to speak, and I want to respect the people who have been waiting to speak. So can we please?
Can I get a moment of silence for my friend Jimmy Boyer? He passed away while I was in jail. I didn't even get a chance to go to his memorial because I was too sick to know that there actually was one, which I was out of custody. So we can all just calm down, just for a moment. Merle Haggard died. Jimmy Boyer was the only person I know that ever met Merle Haggard. I talked to my friend last night. He told me 2 other my friends. So I'm in the entertainment business, and I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to tell you that when I went to one of my musicians' friends' place on Easter, after the party, I went a couple blocks away, and 4066 Northeast Grand Kahori Court, the 5-apartment complex, has been vacant for 4 years. 5 years. It's named after your mother, by the way. I got evicted from there in 2006 with a 30-day no-cause eviction, which was filed against an express statutory prohibition against filing that case because my rent was paid in August of 2005. I appealed, and the nonprofit affordable housing landlord destroyed $20,000 of my goods in 2006. And none of you, and many of these people, cannot stand up right now and say they've never heard this before. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I went to prison for marijuana, which is now legal. I'm in a meeting. When I was in custody, I found a case that went to the Oregon Supreme Court. It defines the act of filing a case